Welcome to video number 2 in our Interview Like a Pro Toolkit series. Let's do a quick recap of the key points that we talked about in video 1. First, the 3 C's of interviewing. This is about using your good communication skills to speak with confidence about your competencies. We also talked about the real visa, knowing how your values, interests, skills, and abilities can impact your confidence in the interviews. And 3, we talked about knowing that your past personal or professional experiences really form the basis of your interview stories. Since we have already covered self and career knowledge, we want to now talk about the rest of this research chain. We're going to talk about industry, company, and job research. And if you're a student who's looking for an internship, let's just change job and change it to internships. Same principle applies. Researching the industry. Sometimes we refer to this as increasing your domain knowledge or expanding your industry awareness. You know your career, but you want to know the industry or the domain in which you will actually do the work. For example, you may be seeking a teaching position. You already know about the teaching career, but you would want to expand your industry knowledge on, say, the specific school district, the type of school. Is it a public, private, or charter? Another example, you may be currently working, for example, as an accountant in the manufacturing sector, but you're looking for a job as an accountant in the entertainment industry. These domains are very different. You will want to expand your awareness about that specific industry because that will make a big difference in the job interview. Your workbook has many sample questions that will help guide your industry research. I think we have about 30 plus questions. Some of these questions could include, for example, is the industry disappearing? Is it growing or changing? How is it changing? Is the industry specific to a geographical region? Who are the top competitors? Apply a PESTEL framework. A PESTEL framework is a tool that looks at factors that have a potential impact on an industry or a company. This framework examines the political, economic, social, environmental, and legal factors. Start practicing using a framework like this to help guide your research. Knowing the state of the industry will show a potential employer that you are interested in the industry, you have knowledge of the industry, and you're prepared to communicate about the industry. Definitely, as you look at the industry, you'll be thinking about what opportunities there exist for you to remain meaningfully employed doing the work you love. The PESTEL framework, which I give you more details in the workbook, gets you thinking beyond the immediate moment. So you start thinking further down the horizon. The retail and hospitality industries are 2 good examples. These industries were evolving before the pandemic because of technology, new service delivery models, demographics, and new ways that align our work and life balance. The pandemic only accelerated those changes. For example, I was in a large chain grocery store a few days ago and I didn't count, but it looked to me like there were almost more professional shoppers than people who were doing their own grocery shopping. Is that a permanent change? How do your personal goals and situation align with that industry in the near future and in the more distant future? What is on the horizon? What our future is saying? Will your skills align now or in the future? Do you have an interest in learning the things that's driving that industry as those jobs are going to evolve? Your workbook lists some places where you can begin to impact your industry research. You can already see how this kind of preparation sets you up well for the job interview, whether it's next week or next year. It also sets you up to move within your own company. That's how the Interview Like a Pro method is different. It is getting you ready to really connect with the job posting and the interview, but it's also keeping you mindful of what your own career goals are. Continue to take notes and reflect on these questions about your industry. In a little while, you're going to see how we bring it all together to create interview answers. Researching the company. This is the research that job seekers jump into the minute that they see the job posting. It's very tempting to start here. Let me just see what they do. Ultimately, if you know yourself, your career path, and you want to stay in your industry, yes, this you will go here first. Some of the questions when researching a company: what do they do? What is the company philosophy? Who are the major clients and shareholders? Can you find out? How is the company responding to current issues? Are they champions for inclusion? How can you tell by looking at their social practice, what their CEO is up to, or their community relations department? How does the company align with your visa? I can tell you that no recruiter wants to interview someone who asks, what does this company do? Yes, it happens. Our goal with ILAP is to make sure that no one who has learned this practice ever asks that question again. Your workbook lists more questions that you should be asking about the company as well. An important part of this research is about the organization's workplace culture. And I define that as the spoken or unspoken rules about how things happen and evolve in the organization, where power sits, including who gets credit, and it's kind of their way of being. What do you know? What can you find out via social media, diversity initiatives, community relations programs, and the buzz throughout the professional associations? All of these things can give you insight into what's happening inside of the organization. For example, if you were researching the HBCU Career Center, let's say you knew someone who worked over at HBCU Connect or HBCU Buzz, why wouldn't you ask them about us? Look for places that use sentiment analysis as well. In other words, what do the workers say? The more you research, the more prepared you are to communicate with confidence about why you would be a good fit. As an example, I would be looking at the leadership of the organization. What will the composition of the leadership team tell me? Does it parallel my own belief systems or my own values around diversity and inclusion, or say independent work? For me, these would be filters. You have your own filters, use them. One tip that I want to leave with you here is to kind of leave the hearsay stories out of the interview, but use your research as the basis for questions when you get the chance to ask. Your worksheet has a couple of examples of ways to tie your research to the interview based on what you care about. And here's just an example. Open quotes. I read that last year your organization donated $7 million to homeless initiatives, which is a cause I really care about. How did the pandemic impact your donations to this cause in 2020? Another example, how did your company demonstrate care about the health and safety of workers and customers during the pandemic? Bottom line, if you didn't do this research and didn't know anything about the company, what would you be selling in the interview? As an HR executive, I can tell you that this is a major source of disconnect in the interview. You think you answered all the questions really well, but they were the same answers you gave in every interview. Remember, lack of research shows up as a lack of interest in the job interview. Research improves our predictions about success in the job interview and in that organization after you're hired. Now let's focus right in on the job posting or the job announcement. You already know that your overall goal is to tie your research to your visa. You want to tie it to your interview stories, and you want to tie it to questions for the interviewer. Here's what they want. Let us really hone in on the job posting with these same goals in mind, because the job posting is where you will find out exactly what employers are looking for in this recruitment. I'm going to use job posting and job description interchangeably. Even though they're slightly different, the job posting is the announcement to say that we have a vacancy, whereas the job description is an internal document with all the expectations of the daily duties of the job. Some people just use their job descriptions as their job postings. They put it all out there. Sometimes they edit just to have better marketing appeal. Either way, when people say to me, Dr. R, I can't prepare for the interview because I don't know what they'll ask, I say, I disagree. The company tells you what they want. The job posting or the announcement will tell you exactly what the employers are looking for in the recruitment. Use the job description if you're already inside of the company. We know what we want. We know what the industry is doing. We know what the company is about. And so we must make the connection for the recruiter in the job interview. So we have to identify what are those important behaviors and skills that they're asking for in the job posting. If you were the interviewer, given your research, what would you want to know from the applicants? We're going to identify those key behaviors or skills at the core of the role that you know the employer is seeking. How will you show them that you have those behaviors or skills? You're going to tell stories. You're going to tell pro stories. And you're going to tell pro stories by using your past personal or professional experiences and sharing your role or responsibilities during that experience. And then you're going to share the outstanding observable outcomes from the experience. This is what interviewing like a pro is all about. I told you I like acronyms. The best part is that it's based on your research. You get to craft those answers and those stories ahead of time. You get to use your research, identify those skills and behaviors they want, reflect on your own experiences, and write them down and practice those answers. Our next video will go into the 3 parts of the response and help you write those stories that will help you make a direct connection between what the hiring manager is looking for and what you have to offer. Please join me in the next video and I will show you how to do that.